my driveway has cracked again. And I say cracked again because it cracked a while back and I tried to fix it with a product I'll show you here in a second. I used this product right here to patch the cracks in the concrete, and a friend of mine who's in the concrete business told me that it would just crack again. This isn't going to hold the weight of a car when two slabs have already cracked in half, and he was correct. He pointed out a different way that I can fix the cracks. I'll show you that in a minute. When I fixed the driveway, I wanted the expansion joints to have a sealant in it to prevent the water from diving down in there and getting under the slab. And so I filled the expansion joints up with material. What I used comes in a tube, a caulking tube, and it's for concrete masonry, and it just forms like a caulk. It's like a rubber. It's a rubber. It doesn't get hard and solid like your usual caulk. It's more expansion for the it's more flexible for the expanding and contraction and the flexing of the concrete slabs as an automobile goes on it. And that's what I use to fill the cracks in. I'll show you. Here's one of those cracks that I filled in with the concrete powder mixture, and it had cracked. You see the crack goes all the way across. So I just took out my grinder, opened up the crack with the grinder, and then put in this concrete masonry expansion joint, kind of like a rubbery material. So I'm thinking now, instead of having 5 slabs on the driveway, I have 10 slabs, because every one of the slabs has cracked. This is another slab that cracked, and when this slab cracked for the second time, it popped a piece of the concrete off. So I'm going to have to take a little bit of that concrete patch and put that on top of there and then seal it. Now that concrete patch does work good for spots like that or divots, but it doesn't work well in the crack because, it's a big crack, and when you got a car on either side of it, it just cracks it again. This slab cracked, and it cracks all the way across from one end of the slab to the other end. So that's what I mean when I say I don't have 5 concrete slabs. I've got 10, because there were 5 and every one of them cracked. There's the other crack right down the middle. Alright, I'm going to show you how to fix this. Here are the tools that I use to fix the crack. I got my grinder. I'm going to use that to open the crack up. But when you use the grinder, you need safety material. Gloves, safety glasses. Those are actually impact safety glasses used for shooting. I think they're real comfortable. I like them better than goggles. Ear protection. And this one, don't forget this one. When you grind out this crack, the concrete turns into dust, and you don't want to breathe that dust. Now, I don't have a tripod, so I'm going to have to turn my phone camera off while I do the grinding. I'm certainly not going to use the DeWalt grinder with one hand, because that baby will bite. Okay. I took the grinder and I opened up the crack, and debris and the dust came out of it. And that's why I was talking about wearing that dust mask. You get a lot of dust. Dust. You open it up wide because then you're going to want to put your expansion sealant in it. But before you do that, you need to clean it out, because you don't want any debris in the hole. So take a shop vac and clean out the hole. clean out the crack. Okay. Got it cleaned out. Gonna put in the expansion joint material here, and I'll show you what that's all about. There's my cartridge. There's my applicator gun. Now I've opened up this cartridge before, but when you get the cartridge out, you have to cut the tip to an angle. This is a little bit different. You have to unscrew this one. Hold on, I'll show you. You got to unscrew this cap right here. You can't cut it to an angle right away. Hold on, I'll show you. You have to cut that. That's where you cut that one. It's a little bit different. Kind of gives you a hint with these ridges right there. You have to unscrew this one. You can't puncture it like you do with the other one. Hold on, I'll show you the difference. That one you don't unscrew. The applicator tip is actually mounted to the body of the cartridge. And on this one, you unscrew the tip, cut that, then you, then you cut it, then you screw this back on, and then cut that at an angle. See how I've cut that? There's the hole right there. Now I've used this before, and when you originally open this up, you need to take a rod and put it down inside of it and puncture it. And since I've used it before, switch hands here. So I've used it before, it's actually, oh, this is some bad camera work. Sorry about that. I actually need to put this back in there. And, oops. Puncture it again, because it seals up. Load it in your gun, and then get ready to go out there and put it in the crack. This material is very fluid, so when you put it at the end of a crack like that, it'll just flow right out. So I take a little piece of bark and I jam it down in there. And that way the crack will fill up the fluid and it'll go against that bark, and that's just paper. It'll wear away eventually. No problem whatsoever. But it's like a little dam I put there. I'll show you real quick how to do this. I'm going to do it with one hand for a minute, but I'm not going to do the whole entire crack with one hand, because then you get control. So you just kind of get it to come out right there, and then you fill the crack up as you go. Alright, I'm going to turn this off because I want to do this right. That's how you start to fill it in, like that. And it'll sink right down into the crack. So you want to go back there and fill it back up again, but I'm going to finish the whole job here. I put it in the crack, and you can see it's self-leveling. So it'll draw down into the crack, so you got to go back and fill it back in again. But the reason I'm making this video is you get, it's a caulk material, so it comes out and you get a little stuff goes where you don't want it to. So just take a wet rag, I'm using a sock here, and just wipe it up before it hardens. Comes up pretty easy, but you got to get on it while it's still wet. Same thing here. See, it sticks to your rag. So you just kind of want to get on there and kind of get it up a little bit. And it's easy as pie. I'm going to go back and fill in this. That's a real good look. See it? Oops, it's not focused well. Come on, focus camera. I'm using a cell phone here. I need to buy a real camera. I'll do that in the future. But it draws down in there, so go back and put a second layer in there if you need to. I filled in the crack all the way through. And the good thing about this material is it's self-leveling, so you don't need to take one of these and then smooth out the crack. It just flows in there and it reaches level because it's basically like a liquid. And that is how you fix a crack. You grind it open, you vacuum it out, you fill it in with your sealant, your joint expansion, contraction material, and have one or two of those around because this stuff is messy. Thank you and have a good day. One more thing I didn't say. This material, you don't use a whole canister. You only use about half of it. It's got a depressor rod. So when you have some left over, you can find these when you purchase this stuff, and it's just a little cap. And you take the cap, and you put it on there, kind of twist it tight, and what it does is it lets the top part dry up, so you're going to get like a little plug right in here, and you're going to have to push that out. But the rest of your material is going to stay moist. It's not going to harden into a rock. So again, you're going to get a little plug, it's going to dry out up around the tip. You're going to get a little plug, so you're going to have to work that out. But I've had canisters of material, caulking material, 6 months, and you pull it out, pop the cap off. I've stored it for 6 months, I should say. You pop the cap off, push a little rod through, get the plug out, and it works just like new.